Hi, welcome to Second Wind Women, the place where we celebrate women who've taken everything they've learned in life and turned it into an unstoppable business. If you've spent years supporting everyone else's dreams while yours waited in the wings, this is your moment. Right now, women are rewriting the rules of entrepreneurship, using their experience and wisdom to build businesses that honor both their ambitions and their true selves. Here you'll hear real stories from women who've walked this path, practical strategies, and honest conversations about the unique challenges and the incredible advantages of starting over with intention. I'm Karen Spies, creative strategist, business coach, and your navigator on this journey. I believe your experience isn't something to overcome, it's your greatest advantage. And together, we'll discover how your second wind can be your strongest yet. Today, I'm excited to welcome Lucy Clark to Second Wind Women. Lucy is a multidisciplinary creative and the founder of Lucy Clark Communications and Motivate Mastery Marketing, where she blends design, coaching, and technology to help small businesses simplify their marketing and build confidence in the digital world. With more than 17 years of experience as a yoga teacher and decades as a graphic designer, Lucy brings a unique mix of creativity, practicality, and heart. She loves working one-to-one with clients, helping them design everything from landing pages and lead magnets to brand guidelines and even digital systems they can carry on their iPads to keep their marketing consistent. Lucy has reinvented herself multiple times, proving you don't have to fit just in one box. Her story is about creativity, resilience, and embracing variety. And I know her perspective will inspire anyone looking for their second wind in business or life. Welcome to the show, Lucy.
Thanks, Karen, for having me. This is wonderful to be able to connect and speak to your audience.
Fantastic. So Lucy and I have known each other for quite a while now in the entrepreneurial setting, but I don't know like where you began from. So can you just kind of like give us an overview of like where you were, where you are now, what happened in between?
Certainly. So I started my design business many years ago. And I originally, like any other, I guess was employed by another designer. And then I decided to branch out on my own. I was like, this is what I want to do. This speaks to me. I want to be able to help companies, businesses, solopreneurs. So I went out on my own and more recently launched doing coaching because I feel that there's many more individuals that have the need, tech frustrations, marketing frustrations, things where it's not the computer isn't always cooperating, and for that matter, like you had mentioned, the systems, simple things that I see that I can help provide to my clients.
Right, right. So did you study design or did you just you were just a natural at it? How did you get started?
Well, I went to art school and Maryland Institute College of Art, very prestigious school, if anyone is familiar with it. And I studied visual communications, and that was really the I guess the huge launching pad. Meeting all the other students, certainly my instructors, they were inspiring, and it really showed me the pathway to be able to problem solve visually. So from fonts to illustration, I really honed a lot of my skills. But after that, it was really then working with all of the individuals and the clients to be able to solve problems, whatever they might need. So anywhere from working with Disney, doing their promotions, through another manufacturer that I worked with. I didn't, and then I've worked with financial firms, hospitality, also medical. So a lot of different kinds of things, from packaging to logo and branding. So I think that you sort of bring everything together once you have those real world problems to solve.
Totally. So I have a quick question. What's the difference between visual communication and graphic design? Like you said you have a degree in visual communication. How is that different?
It is the basis really for graphic design, because graphic design is what we know of today as from your headline to your subhead, your call to action. It's how you display the type, as well as arranging the photography, your illustration. So though all those things together are the visual communication. So graphic design is really the hat that we wear. So whether I'm producing a website or designing icons for an app or the packaging, that the graphic design uses all of the skills from visual
Oh,
communication.
okay, I
And
see.
they did not, it was, I guess it's really an overarching term for my Bachelor of Fine Arts, because I not only did I study typography, but photography, fine art. There's so many other ways that, you're communicating with color and composition.
Wow. Okay. Cool, cool. So, so you said you worked for another design firm and then you decided to go out on your, was there something that precipitated that, or you just like got tired of working there, or what made
Oh,
you
this is lovely, lovely, lovely. Well, I was last person hired, first person terminated when they lost one of their big contracts, and it really sucked. It was actually SCM Chemicals. I can name them. They left the Robert Ritter and Associates, and I absolutely loved working for them. That was a fantastic position to have landed right out of college. But I had worked in so many different jobs prior to that, so that I had this great portfolio. But really, then from that wonderful job, I took a job basically being a glorified typesetter at a different firm and learned the complete way to not operate. They were unethical. Clients were just, they wanted to rush things through. So, you have the one end of just from everything from storyboarding and wonderful clients, University of Arizona, center stage, to I'm doing car ads. So from that, I'm like, okay, I wanted to recreate the feeling from that first job and do it ethically with integrity. And I was like, if these people can make it with no integrity, then I can too. So I started my company. I'm like, and it's been since 1992, and it was
Wow,
just
wow,
very, very long time doing graphics, yeah, and meeting clients.
wow. Okay. And when did you kind of move into teaching and coaching? Like when did you make that shift? Was that like a natural thing after working with clients so long, or how did that pan out?
It seemed to be very natural. I love working sort of one-on-one with my individual clients. I have an artist that I work with now, and I'll do anywhere from her website to any of her marketing and promotions. But it's really when we're solving something that's happened on her computer, working with her password manager, and so once I realized that I'm already coaching, I'm already guiding clients, that then I spun off and really have both of those businesses. So Motivate Mastery came out of that. And coaching, even though I have that notion that you feel like you need to be perfect and everything needs to be great. Well, we're already ready in our imperfection to be able to help, and so it's through that. It's even grounded in my yoga practice. Sometimes you're a puddle on the floor, and other times you're just leaping for joy, and it's all of those things. So I really love to problem solve, and so now I'm just helping others do that for themselves.
Can you talk a little bit more about how your yoga practice informs your kind of your entrepreneurial, not necessarily entrepreneurial journey, but maybe like your day to day, or however you ever you want to connect those two?
One of the things that I've been doing lately with clients, and this is rather an interesting phrase that I've kind of coined, I call it um, tech Reiki.
Like
So it's tech Reiki. So it's really energy. When you're really stuck and you're just trying to push and you're trying to figure it out and you're really frustrated and you get on the phone and you're like, can you help me with this? Whoever, whether you're calling tech support or calling someone like myself. So it's kind of like, okay, let's take a breath. Let's ground our feet. Let's visualize that this problem is going to be solved kind of one step by step. And you can kind of come into that yoga voice, come into your breath. You can even, do your own centering. And even, some of the master coaches, certainly like Tony Robbins, who I've studied under, that he does the thing with priming and really just getting that energy centered, having your gratitude. So there's so many ways I feel that yoga comes into business, even if clients are not into woo, which if you want to look at it that way, they're noticing my calmness or my centeredness or patience. So I'm get on my mat every day and I meet and greet whoever I am. And if I'm really frustrated, I will just throw down some vinyasa flow, or other times I'm just laying in my corpse pose, just getting, my being healthy.
I
I
mean,
will.
there's no way you can solve any tech problem when when you're on, like, the level of frustration, right? So woo or not, a couple of breaths can help you, like, you know.
It's true, and I just look, I feel like people swear, they're like, "It wasn't doing that a second ago. How is it you did that?" I'm, hands on keyboard, sharing the screen. I don't
Right.
know,
Yeah, that's like when
magic.
the tow truck driver shows up and, like, turns the key and your car starts.
True, true, true. Hit the
Yep.
on button.
Yeah. So can you speak a little bit to some of the challenges that you faced as you've gone through, um, like, all these years of entrepreneurship?
Oh, goodness. I believe for me, it's kind of like the cobbler where the children of the cobbler don't necessarily have good shoes. So hard for me to do my own marketing, hard for me to do the reaching out, putting myself out there, doing the social media. I get a little bit resistant about that. And so that's been a little bit I mean, it's new. It's how we now reach out to people and being genuine and authentic. And I'm realizing that just putting out, whatever it might be, a video or something, and you're umming or you can't quite get the message, it's you. You're speaking to your audience. And so even if it feels cringeworthy, pressing past any kind of perfection, it's like let it go. You can do every single thing, your logo, your stationary. But if you aren't really just getting out there and saying, "Hi, I'm here," which, I have a tough time a little with that too. So that's been some of those challenges. Yeah, meeting the new clients, that's always fun, and then sometimes it comes down to, "Oh, okay, that didn't exactly work. Let's come back and regroup and redo what that might have been." Everyone has different expectations, so it's being able to admit, "Okay, that wasn't the most successful that I would like," and it's a reiteration,
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll put out a piece of social for a client, and it is well responded, and other times crickets. You just do not know. And yeah, having that patience and not necessarily taking it personally.
Well, and it's so hard to, like, if if you're the main driver for your business, right? You don't have, a rah-rah team around you, to say, "Hey, it's just one thing that went wrong. Look at all these other things that are going right," you know?
It is very, very true. I think that is also the reminder, I definitely do, I guess, my own work to be able to step into that creativity. I look at it like playing. I actually do draw in my sketchbook regularly. I will attend a class and be with other artists, completely sort of a different thing. And that play and having that expression also really, I think, keeps me um li- lit up, I suppose, to be able to do the work for clients. So it's kind of gotta take care of you. You hit the gym, lift the weights, the
Yeah.
spine will adjust.
Yeah, and have, like, an outlet that's not dependent upon someone else's opinion other than your own. Yeah, I just uploaded a bunch of work to Dribbble, um, the other day,
I
Dribbble.
know, I love dribble. Blah, 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 blah,
And
blah.
I was looking at it and I was like, "Wow, this is, like, really," but normally I'm just looking at, "Oh, I did this one little thing for this person," and, like, ah. But if you look at it, and you do some of your own stuff and some of your client stuff, if you look at it all together, it can be like a really great buildup for you in a way that can really combat your like imposter syndrome, right? Where you go, oh, I just need to look at this page of all the amazing things that I did instead of this one thing that's not like exactly, what it could be. So what would you say are some of your biggest wins that like kind of keep you going and fortify you, as you're moving forward?
Oh my goodness. This is probably something that's semi-selfish, I suppose, but setting up my business so that it can be remote and that I can travel. And I have been traveling and I really enjoy that. I'm often asked not, like, how are you, but where are you? What's your time zone? So that really feels good about, I don't know, shifting and taking ownership of the business and being able to, I guess, thrive. Ah, and I've completely forgotten the rest of the question. So I'm
Like,
like,
what are some of the wins that you like that kinda keep you fortified, and, like, as you're moving forward, like, your arsenal
yeah.
of things you can pull on and go like, "Wow, I did that,"
It's really when you see that client say, "Oh my god, that is so great," and they have the aha that they are now able to do that. Whether it's one to one, sending off a recording, following up, and just giving them that muscle memory. I love when clients get it. It feels so good, and I think that constantly keeps me going and also looking forward to kind of, well, what challenge is going to come up. I don't really know. I just know that I trust in myself to feel as if everything is figure outable, to quote Marie Forleo. So those yeah, that client moment, I suppose, when either in terms of design, when they've received the design and just absolutely love it and it's everywhere, or again in the coaching when they go, oh, I had no idea that it could be that easy.
I mean, you said something really important where you talk about trusting yourself as an entrepreneur, which is like, I think part of why imposter syndrome can be so damaging to people because it erodes your trust in what you can offer, and that's really like a huge part of your grounding, moving forward and reaching out to people. Right? Is your trust in yourself that you're like, I know I can handle it. I know whatever you got. I know I can handle it, or I can find somebody who can. Right?
Very, very true. And I think we all have that imposter syndrome, not ever feeling like it's good enough, going to, oh, I need to read another book or I need to listen to this, an audio book, or I mean there's so many different input where you start comparing your
Mhm.
beginning or your middle to someone else's end, and their definition of success can be very different. We don't have to have I don't have to have employees. I want to stay small. I want to keep it personal. Whether I'm, talking to a group or talking to an individual, I feel like that's just my sweet spot, and not have to gauge it based on anyone else. And certainly for me, health and vitality, and of course travel, and the whole mix of the variety of the things that I do, and being an entrepreneur. I don't know if this wasn't really in the bio, but I've also launched doing handy woman services because I also like to do hands-on work with people's technology. So whether it's their smart thermostat, connecting their phone with their iPad, with their ear, so many different ways, sound systems, I mean, and then installing things. So I like that variety between, whether I'm on the yoga mat or out in the field. And
So, what's the thread that has kind of gone through, like, all of these different kind of, entrepreneur, designer, handy woman, what's kind of like the common thread that is kind of your continuum throughout all of that?
I think it's being able to be playful, deal with the messiness, and for me, it's the variety. Just having that variety. I am not one to want to niche down or be pigeonholed. So when someone says, "What's your ideal client?" I'm not necessarily I'm not a really great example to be able to do a funnel, and get down that specific because I could be working with, a supplement manufacturer, like I said, or all the way to an artist. Or so it's just that variety and being okay with that, being okay that it looks completely different, than what
So
maybe
your
someone
niche is
else would be
really
doing.
personal connection, right? That's your niche, right?
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah,
and working with companies that are wanting to do good in the world, being conscious companies, people that are integral. I don't have to work with the assholes in the world or companies that are doing terrible things. Like I actually am looking at working with a bank now that does not fund war and that funds now, grassroots and in town, kind of social good. And so that's one of those things that you can choose B Corps and things like that. I'm
right,
not technically
right.
a B Corp, but you can solopreneur at this point. So
That's
I
awesome.
hope to explain that. Yeah, it's definitely that variety and just letting go of being stuck, not, if this does or doesn't pick up, it's the way it's whatever energy I put into it is what I'm gonna get back, and I this is this one, wonderful quote that I seem to mix it up quite a bit, but I think I just said it more recently. "You get 100% of the results of the action you don't take."
Explain that more.
So, okay, let's say you've got all this great idea and you want to launch something. Well, when you don't do that, you get 100% of the results. You're not now. If you put the mailer out there and you get 3% back, that's really great. That's a response to having done something. But if you don't do anything, you get all of that. You
You
get
get you get
100%.
100%
You get a
nothing.
big fat zero.
Okay, I got
True. So to be shy, to be timid, to not own it. Yes, deal with grief, deal with losing a partner, deal with divorce, deal with, your father passing away. And it's like, my mom is still alive and I hope that for many years I get to keep her around. And so, but yeah, it's life is quite the whirlwind and it's just sort of how we show up. And it's just with this these efforts of reaching out. And, I really appreciate you interviewing me to be able to give voice even. I often don't even know, quite what I say or about my history, but now it seems to be, like to your point, putting your portfolio out there. It's like, oh, okay, that looks really good.
yeah, right?
So
So
thanks.
and you're welcome. I'm very happy to talk to you anytime. So you talk about loving doing all these different kind of bite-sized projects and um, you know, and you really want to keep it personal. So how would you suggest women could reframe, if women want to take an approach like that, how could they reframe that in a way that's not like, well, I didn't do 8 figures this year. Am I still a success, you know?
You know, I guess it's kind of like talking, I guess, about how confidence grows, through your action. And like when you're putting yourself out there, I mean, self-promotion isn't about bragging. It's about what difference you can make for someone. And so when I speak from that standpoint, I know that my clients with graphic design, my clients with my coaching, I'm making a difference. And even if it's that artist can then have their portfolio online, or if I'm solving, someone's WordPress website that they've painted themselves into a corner and I'm helping, bring them back out of that. But guiding them to be able to do it so that they have that muscle memory. I mean, um, I feel like that is it. It's like just taking the first step, working with someone like a coach, working with someone to be able to go, all right, here's the marketing now, you can run with it and sort of, I guess, having that dialogue of pulling it out and knowing you can't always do it yourself.
Yeah,
It's tough. It's tough to be, to your point where, you're in a vacuum of one, but at the same time we're not. We're this more community of the whole and trying to make this difference, every person, every project at a time.
right, right. Yeah, it's so easy to think, in this age where a lot of us are just working, on this screen right here. It's so easy to feel like you're alone, but there's so many, like reaching out to other people, as we know, is very important not only for your mental health, but also your confidence, also your business, all those things,
Yeah.
So what advice would you give to people who feel stuck kind of launching, or they're really like have a lot of fear around self promotion?
Oh man. I mean, fear is certainly a natural and a good thing. I mean, it it can be looked at like, you feel it, you feel it in your body, but it at the same time, it's just energy. It can feel exactly the same as enthusiasm, as like butterflies, like maybe before you're going to step on on a stage. Oh my goodness. I mean, the advice I guess I feel like is, you know, start with your pen on your paper, writing out like what's the worst thing that could happen if you step in front of a camera and do a TikTok, you know? It's just it has to start somewhere. And, you won't recognize yourself after a certain amount of time of continuing to show up. And so being okay with that messiness, choosing for it to be more playful and just letting go of that perfection. There is no reason this has to be perfect. I'm freaking human. I definitely have my moments, and I just put myself together very well plenty of times, but there's other times where I'm just like, ah. You just perseverance, gentle perseverance, I suppose.
What would you say what would you say about perfection in the age of AI, and how, I mean, in my mind, I think that handmade goods are gonna become more valuable. I think that um, something with a human touch is going to become more unique, whereas before everything was made by a human touch. How would you address that in this continuum of moving from like not quite perfect to just more refined? Because perfection is ridiculous idea that all of us hold in there. But how would you characterize that?
So AI, while it seems like it's super, I guess, slick and can do anything. It is still from our prompt, from our input, also big time, it can make errors, definitely having to check the sources. As with anything that's out there, definitely check sources because there can be many sort of mistruths and trusting I suppose your gut with that. But yeah, AI is gonna be around. It's gonna be like our partner to be able to help us as humans almost in a way shine a light on our humanness. And maybe now even my graphics might become more hand done. And literally when you post a post, you kind of have to say, yes, I used AI to help me with the content, but it was edited by me. And so it's, calling that out, and it's totally,
It's a
it's
great
totally,
tool
yeah,
that I feel like,
a tool.
it's a tool, and, we're just now in the beginning stages where, we've just been given this shiny new toy, and everybody's like, "You could do everything with it." But I mean, I had a client recently who showed me their Instagram feed, and it was all, like, stock pictures and, uh,
Yeah.
AI generated photos, and it's like, my eye this is kinda like, artist talk or whatever, but my eye just slid over the whole thing. I'm like, you
It
know
seemed more one-dimensional, more
It was
flat,
it
not
was
not
too
as much
quick.
not as much engagement, right?
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
what yeah, I would say that. I mean, there's some pretty cool things I think that AI can do, but it looks like AI did it. It's like CGI.
Right.
You love that action film, you love seeing how they pulled all that together, you feel like you're in outer space, but it's CGI, and it's when they're shining on the person sweating and striving and fighting and, for injustice in outer space, always beating the bad guy,
Uh-huh,
which,
yeah.
we're now surrounded with all sorts of other things coming at us, and how do you quiet the noise?
Right.
And AI in a way, may start to make more noise, but it's only because of how people start to use it, and use it either, ethically or with purpose. And it can be a component, and I feel like it's great for rough drafts. Get in there, get
That's
your rough
yeah,
draft.
agreed.
I do enjoy, how it can help me do my blog posts, because I get sort of stuck with the blank page, looking at the blank page, and I've got to type this. And so I love that it gets me over that hump. And then I go, "Oh yeah, and what about this? And what about that?" It's a great way to have a dialogue with yourself, because it's just echoing you.
Right. Yeah. Or, technically echoing patterns in language. And I suppose the way the visual stuff works is a similar kind of thing, right? It's echoing patterns in that it's found in millions, billions, quadrillions of images, right? So it's
Right.
pattern recognition. It's like I saw this really interesting, or I listened to this really interesting podcast where they were talking about artificial intelligence. And there was an Italian guy, I don't remember what the name, he said you shouldn't call it artificial intelligence because it's not intelligence. It's just prediction, right? They talked about how when Kasnov or somebody first played chess with the computer, he was like some grand chess master, and the computer won. Everybody threw up their hands and like, that's it, it's over now, you know?
I know. Yes, 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 yes. Yeah, AI, one of the ways that I almost look at it, and maybe it's because I think it can also be this component, like kind of like a little mini partner or light, with an entrepreneur, is I call it EI, for emotional intelligence, because it can be that sounding board. And if you need a pep talk, around whatever you're doing, or if you need kind of like structure, what's my day look like today? It knows what, your tasks are, because
Right.
you've been talking about that. And it goes, and I say, I want a small step, or I want a really big thing, whatever it might be. And it'll work with me
I mean,
wherever I
it's
am.
great at cheerleading, you gotta give it that.
Oh yeah, it can, yeah. Oh,
Yeah. Yeah, and
flatter.
yes, it's huge at flattery. But, for me, it's so, and I feel like it's like this for a lot of people. It's so much easier for me to say what I don't like than what I do like. I don't know if that says something about me, but like when it when it when it brings up something, I can go, "Oh, that part's cool. This part, and then I have something to work with, and then I have clay to form, right? Instead of just starting with like the ground and you got to dig up the clay and you got to still get the soil out and you can tell I've done this before, and you know, uh,
Indeed, indeed.
find
Yeah, it
yeah,
gives you that palette of color that you can then just sort of dab into, and it'd be like, "No, I don't want those colors." And you pick and choose, and then you're further faster
right.
because of its groundwork that it laid. And it's really good to be able to see the things you don't like. I think that's a clear key point, because then if it doesn't resonate, you're not going to just go, "Okay," we're not these puppets being led by the computer. We're
Right.
leading the computer.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I'll never forget was somebody had told me, like, if you wanna know what profession you should go into, or you wanna know what you should dedicate your life to, there's all these people who are like, "What do you really love and what moves you?" And but I heard this one guy and he's like, "What kind of ugliness bothers you the most? Is it like notes that are off key? You're probably a musician. If it's colors that clash, you're probably an artist. If it's numbers that aren't added up right, you're probably an accountant, right? It's a fascinating concept of just how to refine your interaction with the world.
it's true. It's true. What bothers you? And that bother could be something that becomes a component of something that you end up solving in your business.
Right.
For it's me,
Totally.
giving voice to others, giving tech empowerment, so that they're not frustrated, and they're letting go of their fears. I mean, obviously, it's everything all at once. So yeah.
Yeah.
L- Love it.
So what message would you want to leave listeners with um, after kind of hearing your story and the way you've uh, really engaged, really, engaged all these multiple different aspects of yourself simultaneously to, piece together this lifestyle business that really, brings you a lot of joy. Like, what would you want people to walk away with from after hearing your story?
For me, I think the big takeaway, and I would love for listeners to really kind of bring it to heart, is that you don't have to fit into just one box or one niche, and not feeling like you're gonna follow in someone else's success. I mean, they're good to I guess a starting point. Like, if they can do it, I can do it. But ultimately, your experience, your creativity, your curiosity. I mean, that's the kind of thing that's gonna bring your authority. It's like trusting in the just what you've gone through. I know the puddles I've been on the floor when I was recovering from my motorcycle accident. I mean, quite a bit of motivation, and a real reason why I now stay fit and strong, because I want to live long. I don't necessarily plan to retire. I mean, so someone who is going to be 60 this year, it's a new frontier. I know, rah rah. You can let go of so much of the bullshit and not listen to, others, and start to really go, yeah, that is doesn't resonate, but this does resonate. And just, yeah, being playful. I mean, you can have your second wind at any point.
I love it. And at one point you mentioned, I don't have to work with assholes anymore.
Yes, or you just put in the pain in the ass, charge. No, yeah, I don't even want to even do that at this point. And
Yeah.
I now look at people who have a little bit of assholery in them as, you know what, they just really know what they want. And okay. And so it's like, you know what, you're gonna get all kinds of people from that standpoint. And it's a little different than when it's a one-on-one in coaching and or with design. There's different hats that we wear in all of that. But in every case, we're, just solving a problem.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I do appreciate people who are frank and to the point. Sometimes that can feel,
Yeah,
not
a
so
little
great. If it's not feedback that you like, sometimes it can feel not so great.
right, it can feel abrasive, and it's okay. The world is made up of a lot of different people, and it's, just also trusting your gut. Get when you get quiet every day and you sit in meditation, or you're in the gym and you're, on the treadmill or something, you tend just not to use. I guess it gives you some confidence, and you just won't deal with bullshit. Maybe your bullshit meter starts to happen really soon. Like,
Clear,
what?
right? Just clear boundaries, you know?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Boundaries. Work in progress with that. I'm a people pleaser. I'm a recovering,
Yeah.
maybe work in progress people pleaser, but that's, part of it. I think that's what makes work satisfying too.
Yeah, right? It's a double-edged
Mhm.
coin.
Mhm. Indeed.
Oh,
Indeed.
awesome. Is there anything else that you kinda wanted to put out that we didn't talk about or cover?
I mean, keeping yourself from getting stuck and staying motivated is really important. And how you do that can be completely up to you. Maybe it is, playing in the garden, digging in the dirt, working with the clay. I'm taking piano lessons again. It sounds amazing. Music, studying a foreign language, traveling to foreign places, like, these things resonate. So not being afraid, not letting anyone else tell you what you can and can't do. Yeah, oh, that's why I'm no longer married to husband number one. Anyway, following your true genuine heart, you'll thrive no matter whether you feel like you're going through a shit storm or everything's easy breezy.
Right, right. Well, cool. How can people reach out to you, Lucy, if they wanted to,
Oh, yeah.
learn more?
So you can find me at Lucy Ann Clark, and that's Ann without the E, LucyAnnclark.com, or motivatemastery.com. And I'm on Instagram. My Instagram is 7UCY. Yeah, my phone number is out there. Just reach out and I usually answer every call myself. You will not get an AI.
No AI operator.
Not yet. No.
It was a real pleasure talking with you, Lucy, and thanks so much for coming on. And I hope that some people really take what you've said to heart.
Sounds wonderful. I really appreciate you having this space. This is wonderful to give me even that sense of, oh, I do have a way to, voice and express and show again, the human side of design and tech.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Wonderful.
Thanks for joining us on Second Wind Women. I hope today's conversation sparked something for your own journey. This podcast is one way I support women who are stepping into entrepreneurship. In my work, I help entrepreneurs shape businesses that not only grow, but also feel good to run, the kind that fit your life instead of taking it over. If you're building something and want a little more clarity, structure, or strategy, you can find out more about how I work with entrepreneurs at secondwindwomen.com. Until next time, keep breathing life into that second wind. It might just carry you further than you think.